Yo, what's up guys? Chase the Bro here, and welcome back to another Dark Souls 3 weapon showcase. Today's episode is going to be centered around the Pontiff Knight Curved Sword. Since the release of the most recent patch, the Pontiff Knight Curved Sword has received a nice buff. If you recall, when the game first released, the weapon art of this sword did not include a frost blade on both the L2 and the R2. Now they've modified it to add it to both, making this weapon even more of a beast. When the game first came out, I was using this sword a lot because I found the curved blades had the fastest R1s, and I was really enjoying the speed and versatility of the weapon. Although I really did wish the weapon art was a little bit better at the time because I couldn't combo it that well. Now it's so easy to catch opponents with. I mean, the range you have with this sword is insane. Not only that, because of the delay of the weapon art, it's really easy to connect two light attacks into that as a combo. Most times after you're done your two light attacks, your opponent's going to try to roll away from you because they don't want to receive further damage, and that's when the weapon art is going to catch them. Honestly, I think I'm just really in love with the weapon art. That's why I like the weapon so much. I normally don't use curved swords other than dual wielding weapons, but I never two-hand a curved sword usually, and I can see why they are one of the top tier weapons. This has just changed my view on weapons entirely. Not only is it one of the fastest weapons, it now has an amazing weapon art, and it's one of the best weapons for roll catching. I can't tell you how many times I've caught people rolling, like 3 to 4 times in a row. It's crazy. The sword itself is getting around 400 AR with the build that I have set up, which I think is pretty decent for a curved sword, right? It's a fast weapon, and each slash does around like 200 to 300 damage depending on my opponent's armor. This was a pretty drastic change for me though, because all my builds lately have been centered around a ton of damage, whether it be in one shot or a combo. So using a weapon that only did 200 to 300 damage was a little bit of a challenge for me at first. But soon I realized that it's such a fast weapon and its combo potential is so amazing. And I love the weapon art. I can't express how much I love this weapon art. I am also really unsure if the damage for this weapon got buffed because I haven't been using it since the beginning of the game. I really don't remember what my AR used to be or the scaling at all. I know nothing about that. So if anybody wants to let me know, that'd be great in the comments. Because this weapon cannot be buffed, I figured the best way to run this build would either be to have a quality build or a lower strength and higher dex build to get the same AR. But it frees up a lot of stat points, so I do have a ton of health and a pretty decent amount of vitality, which is just another bonus for using this weapon. It doesn't require a ton of stats poured into it to get decent damage. In fact, after 40 dexterity and like 30 strength, you stop getting good damage return, so it's really not even worth it to invest that many points into the damage. And it's not even the damage that makes this weapon so amazing, like I mentioned earlier, it's definitely the moveset. The curved swords have such an amazing moveset. If you haven't used them, I definitely recommend trying them out. It is weird at first because they are a short range sword that you want to two-hand, and they have a horizontal slash with like a straight sword, but I find it a little bit faster actually. And honestly, I find it a lot harder to parry these weapons personally, and I find that enemies haven't parried me. I don't think I got parried once while using this sword, and it is a very parryable weapon apparently, so I was caught off guard by that. It's also a much less predictable weapon. A straight sword has really 3 different movesets. You can horizontal slash, you can heavy attack, which is a poke, and it's really hard to change it up with a straight sword, but because this weapon's moveset is so versatile, you have that amazing weapon art, you have the horizontal slashes, its R2 is like a vertical spin slash, and the moveset changes entirely when you're using it one-handed. But personally, I do recommend using this weapon two-handed because the weapon art is kind of the focus of the weapon in my opinion. But don't take my word for it, go try it out for yourself guys. That's pretty much all I have to say about the weapon, so I'm just going to bring you guys on over to my stats and equipment now, so you can take a look at what I'm using. Alright bros, so like I said earlier, it is a semi-quality build. It's almost a 40-40. Just after 36 strength you kind of get diminishing damage return, so you don't want to go past that in my opinion. It's much more useful to use the stat points anywhere else. After you've allocated your points to dexterity and strength, you need a minimum of 10 intelligence to wield this weapon, although it doesn't scale at all off intelligence. I just happened to have a mercenary class, so it was perfect that it started with 10 intelligence. I didn't need to invest any points into it to use it. And after that, what you guys do with your points is really up to you. I wanted a somewhat decent stamina pool, so I got my endurance to 30. I'm wearing the prisoner's chain because I wear it with most of my builds. You get like no damage reduction from using it, and it adds a lot of free levels, so it's always worth it in my opinion. And I have 40 vigor, big health pool, right? I have a ton of stat points to work with. Why not have a huge health pool? And I had a ton of points remaining after that, so I just shoved them all into vitality. As for my weapons, I'm using the Pontiff Knight Curved Sword, obviously, which has a D scaling in strength and a C scaling in dexterity. So you're going to want to invest more points just like me in Dex than Strength. You get more damage returns that way. Other than the sword, I'm using a simple cestus because it slowly rebuilds my FP. And I do use the weapon art a lot for this build. And other than that, my armor is just the Wolf Knight armor with the Knight leggings because I despise the Wolf Knight leggings. They are so skinny. I'm using the Ring of Favor +3. You guys obviously know why. The Cloyanthy ring as well. I just like my stamina rebuilding fast. I'm an aggressive player. And I always use the Prisoner's Chain if I have a free ring slot because it gives you 15 free levels at the cost of like 3% damage absorption, which is like nothing. And for my final ring, I have the Life Ring +3 because I have a huge health pool, and that makes it even huger. So that's pretty much it for the weapon review, guys. I really enjoyed using this sword, so if you guys haven't checked it out since the most recent patch, I definitely recommend using it. It's one of my favorite weapons at the moment. I had a blast just making this video and PvPing with it in general. So thank you. And if you enjoyed the video, like the video. It really helps out my channel. As always, thanks for watching. Chase the Bro out.